welcome to a new episode of Current Affairs. Today, we're diving deep into an extraordinary video lesson by Brazilian geopolitical analyst Daniel Lopez. The title of the video is Nobel Prize in Medicine Uncovers Secret of the Elite and Pays a Heavy Price. But before we get into the heart of the message, let me first introduce the man behind it. Daniel Lopez is a well-known voice in Brazil when it comes to geopolitics, global agendas, and esoteric interpretations of current events. With a unique ability to connect the dots between science, history, and power structures, Lopez has become a trusted guide for those seeking to understand what's really happening behind the scenes. In his lectures and live streams, Daniel often explores topics that go far beyond what the mainstream media is willing to address, challenging narratives, exposing suppressed research, and analyzing elite strategies with clarity and courage. And today's lesson? It's one of his most striking. So let's jump in and uncover what a Nobel-winning scientist discovered, why it scared the world's most powerful institutions, and what it might mean for all of us. And now, here is the video in question. Daniel Lopez speaks in Portuguese, but exclusively for you, we've prepared the full English translation. Just sit back and follow along.
Aqui no nosso canal, hoje a gente está entrando mais cedo, tá? A gente tem motivo
Today,
muito importante.
we're going live a little earlier than usual, and there's a very good reason for that. In just a bit, I'll be heading over to the PrimaCast, hosted by Thiago Negro and the Grupo Primo team. It's going to be a fantastic experience, and I hope to see many of you there at noon. But before that, let's talk about something very serious and quite fascinating. This video is about a Nobel Prize-winning scientist who uncovered a truth so dangerous, it might have cost him everything. I'm talking about none other than Luc Montagnier, the French virologist who discovered the HIV virus, the agent responsible for AIDS. His discovery earned him the Nobel Prize in Medicine. But that was just the beginning. After winning the Nobel, Montagnier continued his research into AIDS and its cures. He began exploring the groundbreaking and controversial theories of another French scientist, Jacques Benveniste, a researcher who nearly won the Nobel Prize himself before being sabotaged. Benveniste proposed a theory many found outrageous, the idea that water has memory. He believed that water could retain the electromagnetic signature of substances even after they were removed. Montagnier took this idea seriously. In experiments, they placed fragments of DNA in water. After removing the DNA, they detected electromagnetic signals left behind in the water. These signals, when transmitted to another lab, sometimes across continents, allowed scientists to reconstruct the original DNA. Imagine that, digital biology, encoding DNA into electromagnetic waves and reassembling it remotely. There's a documentary on this topic, an incredible piece that a student from our community, the ARCA, recommended. It's in English, but I'll share the link with you. It's a must-watch. But let me take you back. Jacques Benveniste, when he first published his findings in Nature, faced a brutal backlash. A group of skeptics, organized, manipulative, came to discredit his work. They even brought in James Randi, the magician-turned-debunker, as part of an official investigative team. To protect himself, Benveniste invited a journalist from Le Monde, disguised as a lab assistant, to witness everything. And guess what? The so-called investigation was a hit job. They imposed impossible standards, invalidated his methods, and destroyed his credibility. Funding disappeared. His career was ruined. Soon after, Benveniste died during a suspicious cardiac surgery. Then Montagnier picked up the torch. His goal? To treat diseases, including AIDS, not with chemicals, but with electromagnetic frequencies derived from water memory. This, of course, threatened the pharmaceutical industry, a global behemoth second only to the arms industry. Montagnier's research showed that DNA could be digitally encoded, transmitted, and reconstructed. The US Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, noticed. They realized the same technology could be weaponized. DNA could be sent not to heal, but to harm, possibly through cell phones, 5G towers, or electromagnetic radiation. Montagnier wanted to heal. Others wanted to weaponize. He called this emerging field digital biology, and it scared powerful people. Just as he began speaking publicly about these findings, and even questioned the origins of the COVID-19 virus, he died. That was February 8th, 2022. Many believe it wasn't coincidence. He had claimed the virus was lab-made. But perhaps even more threatening to the system was his research into electromagnetic healing. Here's where it gets darker. Montagnier's work had started to attract the attention of high-level military and intelligence sectors. They saw the potential. What if diseases could be transmitted wirelessly, through frequencies? Imagine digital illness, pathogens delivered via signal. At the same time, Montagnier was hoping to heal through wave signatures. Others saw an opportunity to kill discreetly and silently. And yes, around the same time, 5G networks were being implemented worldwide. Coincidence?
All right, now I'm about to share something with you that's usually only available to ARCA members. That's right, this is reserved content, never meant to go public. But today, we're breaking the rule, just for you. So keep it quiet, will you? Don't spread it around too much.
Let's go. In this private session, I'm going to tell you about a book that reveals a secret meeting of the global elite. A gathering where powerful individuals were actively planning to eliminate a large portion of the world's population. But here's the real kicker. They already had the solution ready. That's right. The plan was to develop and release a man-made biological agent, an artificial virus. And once the chaos begins, once the fear takes over, they would step in and sell the cure. But not just any cure. This one comes with a price. Accepting the mark of the beast. 6666. Even more sinister, for some groups the cure won't even work. They've designed it that way, to make sure those people don't survive.
So yes, what Daniel Lopez said wasn't speculation. In Guerreiros da Luz Volume 2, starting around Chapter 51, author Daniel Mastral describes in Spiritual Allegory a chilling scenario. A secret elite develops a lab-created virus designed not for health, but for control. The virus is meant to activate during the rise of the Antichrist, selectively targeting those who refuse to accept a digital mark. That mark? It's a subcutaneous chip sold to the public as a convenient tool for identification, payments, and digital integration. But in reality, it's a mechanism for total surveillance and behavioral enforcement. Those who reject it are declared threats and marked for elimination. There are even rituals described in the book, where initiates receive chips in secret ceremonies on their hands or knees, symbolizing submission to a darker order. And behind it all, an elite class pulling the strings, preparing the world for an age of artificial peace, deception, and absolute control. So whether you read it as prophecy, fiction, or encrypted warning, one thing is clear. The patterns described in this book are starting to look eerily familiar.
We're talking about selective elimination on a massive scale. And this isn't just theory. Thanks to the work of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., especially in his book, The Real Anthony Fauci, we now know that after 9/11, Dr. Anthony Fauci was directly assigned by George W. Bush to start creating biological weapons. These weren't just lab viruses. They were being upgraded, weaponized, turned into potential tools of control. Fauci worked with the University of North Carolina, with Peter Daszak, and with the controversial EcoHealth Alliance. Together, they performed gain-of-function experiments, enhancing harmless viruses so they could infect humans, and also developing methods to hide that human interference ever happened. And guess who was funding and overseeing all of this? The Pentagon, along with the US military, inside Fort Detrick, America's hub for biological warfare. Now it gets even more alarming. Over 300 scientists pleaded for these experiments to be stopped. They warned that continuing this research could spark a global health crisis. That was during Barack Obama's administration. And while Fauci continued his experiments, Bill Gates was already announcing that a global pandemic was coming. In 2015, during a TED Talk, he made it very clear. Then, in January 2017, just days before Donald Trump took office, Fauci stated with absolute confidence that there would be a pandemic during Trump's presidency. How could they be so sure? Because the plan was already in motion. Obama eventually shut down the official projects in the US, but guess what? The research was simply transferred to Wuhan, China. And yes, that's where the agent was released. Coincidence? I'll let you decide. Now here's the masterstroke. According to the book I mentioned, the elite have been preparing for this since the 1980s. They developed the virus, yes, but they also developed the cure. They've been immunizing themselves for decades, so when the next wave hits, they'll be safe. And the rest of the world, well, the rest will have to accept the mark or be left behind. As if that wasn't enough, the World Economic Forum, with people like Klaus Schwab, is also involved. His book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, practically reads like a script. These people didn't just predict the crisis, they planned it. Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, the WEF, they're not just participants. They are the architects. So what now? You still have time to understand what's happening behind the scenes. But you have to open your eyes. You have to start asking questions.
And now, here's what Bill Gates had to say just recently about the future role of humans in a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence. In an interview with CNBC, Gates stated, "Humans won't be needed for most things." Let that sink in. This isn't a distant prediction. This was said in March 2025. One of the world's most influential figures, someone deeply involved in both technology and global health, openly declaring that human labor and perhaps even human decision-making will soon be obsolete. Is this just a comment on automation, or is it a glimpse into the elite's vision for the future? A future where control is centralized, where decisions are made by algorithms, and where human beings, unless compliant, are seen as expendable. Gates says it as a matter of fact. But when you connect the dots, with digital IDs, biological control systems, and AI governance, it starts to look like something much bigger. And Daniel Lopez warned us. He told us this was coming. Now, to truly understand how deep this rabbit hole goes, we have to look at a book that Daniel Lopez himself often refers to. It's called Conspirators' Hierarchy, The Story of the Committee of 300, written by Dr. John Coleman. Coleman was a former British intelligence officer who spent decades investigating how a secret group of elites, what he calls the Committee of 300, has been orchestrating global events behind the scenes. In this book, Coleman claims that a powerful network of banking families, corporate leaders, royalty, and think tanks are working together to control populations, manipulate economies, dismantle national sovereignty, and reshape human society. Sound familiar? Many of the same themes we've heard from Daniel Lopez, like engineered crises, population control strategies, and digital subjugation, are outlined in detail in Coleman's work. It's not just a conspiracy theory. It's a documented framework that connects names, institutions, and agendas. And it's been in motion for decades. So if you've never heard of the Committee of 300, maybe it's time you did. Because while most people are watching the news, these people are writing the script.
So now you know. What I just shared with you is part of a narrative they never wanted you to hear. A narrative hidden behind layers of media, science, and power, crafted to keep you in the dark while they move their pieces on the global chessboard. But you're here. You heard it. And once you know, you can't unknow. The truth is uncomfortable. It challenges everything we've been told, but it's only by confronting it that we can begin to see clearly and prepare for what's coming. This isn't about panic. It's about awareness, about being 2 steps ahead while most of the world is still asleep. So if you're ready to keep digging, to connect the dots, and to see the full picture unfold, make sure to follow this channel. More powerful videos are coming soon. Until then, stay sharp, stay free, and stay 1 step ahead. See you on the other side. And hey, if this video opened your mind, click that like button, share it with someone you trust, and check the links in the description for more. And of course, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.